At the end of the year, you can transfer any remaining budget amounts for multi-year projects to future years. You can also create budget register details for those amounts in the associated general ledger accounts. With that being said, we'll take a look at the project management and accounting module's carry forward budgeting functionality. So what is a carry forward budget? Basically, it's the ability to carry a budget forward to a new year. And the two types of budgets that you can bring forward are basically your remaining budget, or if your budget has run negative, I guess that could still be considered your remaining budget, but a negative budget as well. There's a toggle for that. So if you allocate your budget from, based on period or quarter or years, and you have remaining budget going into the next fiscal year, there's just basically a routine that you can run in Dynamics AX that allows you to transfer that budget from the previous fiscal year to the current fiscal year. And it will show up as budget that you can use in that current fiscal year. What are some of the key features of the carry forward budget functionality? Basically, you have to toggle a specific project to be enabled for carry forward budgeting. So when you set up the project management and accounting budget and forecast parameters, you can see the two highlighted ones are carry forward remaining budgets, and that enables your project to basically be able to carry forward the budget. And then the bottom one is allow negative budgets to be carried forward. So if your budget does run negative for a specific fiscal year, you can run it forward as well, and it will go into the next year with a negative value. The next feature is it's basically a periodic routine. You can run this carry forward routine from the periodic menu under the budgeting menu, or you can actually run it from a specific project budget if you want. There's just a carry forward budget button on the top of every budget. And then the carry forward column is something that actually shows up on the project budget balances inquiry. So you can see here's the project budget balances inquiry. I don't know what the date range is here, but what I want you to take a look at is the carry forward column. So if you run the carry forward periodic routine and you carry forward a budget into the next year, basically it rolls into the carry forward column, depending on how you filter your form or what the date range is on your form. And basically what you can see is that it will take the approved budget amount plus the carry forward budget amount to give you your remaining budget amount. And then finally, you can create budget register entries as well. When you're running that periodic routine, you have the option to actually create the budget register entries, which are applicable to the budgeting module, which is the equivalent of the GL budget. And if you want those to be created, you can just toggle this or tell the system to do so when we're running the periodic routine, and it will create those budget register entries, and then you can go ahead and update the budget balances in the budgeting module to make those live. All right, so let's go ahead and demonstrate the carry forward budgeting functionality. And what I've done thus far is created a project and submitted and approved a budget, and it's allocated over a few years. And we'll go ahead and review the budget balances on that project. Then we'll carry forward the budget to 2017. And to make it a little more realistic, I'll change the session date to 2017 just so you can see how you do that. And then finally, we'll go ahead and review the budget balances after we carry forward and take a look at that budget register entry that was created in the budgeting module. All right, so we're going to run through the process of carrying forward a budget into the next fiscal year. And what you're looking at right now is the workspace homepage. I just clicked on the Dynamics AX button up top. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change my session date to 2017, or I already have. But just so you know, if you use your calendar from the workspace homepage and select a date, it changes your session date. So that's the new process of changing your session date. So I just created a project already. So I just went to the All Projects list page, and the project's called the Carry Forward Budget. So we'll just review the project real quick. And we'll do that by looking at the project budget balance inquiry. So first of all, this project is budget enabled. We have an approved cost budget of $200,000 and an approved revenue budget of $500,000. And you can see some is consumed thus far. I did allocate this by quarter, so we'll just focus on the cost budget right now. But I'll just run a custom range here, and let's just see what we had for 2016. So we had $54,000 budgeted for 2016, but we only used 21,000, so we have 33,000 left. So we want to roll that budgeted amount forward to the next year. So to do that, you have to run the carry forward routine, and there's a couple spots where you can run that routine from. You can actually run it from your project budget. So if I jump into the project budget, there's the carry forward budget button within here, within this form, and basically you can just select that button and it launches the periodic routine. Also, probably the more common way of doing this is to go to the project management and accounting module. Under periodic, there's the budget folder and then the carry forward budget button. So basically when you're in here, the first thing I normally do is I go over to the select budget button, and then I retrieve all budgets that I want to carry forward in the next year. So you hit the retrieve button and it actually brings you back to that first tab, but it shows you all the different projects that you can carry forward into the next year. And I know my project number was 207, and it was called carry forward budget project, and it doesn't show up here. So the question is, why doesn't it? And this is probably a common issue that people run into. Well, I'll show you why it's not pulling in here. So if I go back and find my project, there's 207. In order to carry forward your budget, you actually have to toggle a toggle in the budget and forecast fast tab of your project. So there's two of them actually that relate to carry forward budgeting. This one right here, the first one, this is basically to enable it for carry forward budgeting. So we want to do that. That will make it pull into that periodic routine. And then the other toggle is if you allow your budget to run negative, do you want to carry forward that negative budget into the next year? So you can hit yes if you want to do that. And if you hit no, it just doesn't care if you overrun your budget. It won't carry that forward. All right. So once I've toggled my budget or my project to actually allow for carry forward budgeting, we can run the routine. So I'll go ahead and I'll just run it from the project here. Hit the carry forward budget button. Let's select. If I hit retrieve all budgets, now I can see that my 207 project pulls in, and it pulls in two records. And now you're going to ask, well, why does it pull in two records? Because it treats the revenue budget and the cost budget as two separate entities. And you can see that we have remaining revenue budget of $97,000 that's going to get rolled into the next year, and a cost budget of $33,000 that's going to get rolled into the next year. So that's fine. We'll select both these to be carried forward, and I could do 205 if I want, but I'm not worried about it. And now we'll work with our parameters here. So basically the first one is pretty straightforward. It's asking you, do you want to carry forward the remaining balance? And the answer is yes. You wouldn't run this routine if you didn't want to. You also have the option to create budget register entries for those balances. So if you want the system to log a budget register entry for you in the budgeting module for the next year's budget, you can do so. So we'll just say yes to that, and then you have to define the parameters. So basically it's asking, well, what year are you running this for? And that would be 2016. And then we can basically say, well, what transaction or posting types are you looking to bring over? Profit and loss, WIP, payroll allocation. And this is the same functionality as when we transferred the forecasts in the previous lesson. So you just choose what ledger impact you want to bring over to your GL budget. All right, and then you can say, well, what fiscal year are we dealing with? That's the 2017 we're going to push the opening balances into. And then what period do you want to carry it forward to? And we're going to pick period 1. So then you want to copy from which forecast, and the only option you have is remaining, which makes sense because you want to bring your remaining budget into the next year. And then you have to pick a general ledger budget model that you want to use for your budget register entry that's used. So 2017 is what we'll choose here. And then you have the two toggles that will trigger to yes here. So I'll hit process. Well, before I hit process too, I want to show you one thing. If you want to analyze your different budgets, you can. So if you select one of them, you can see that there's two different options here, and I skipped over these, so I just want to show them. You can view the accounts. It basically shows you what it's going to suggest for the budget register entry for each one of these. So here's the suggestion. And basically it's showing you all the different posting types. So here's the revenue, here's the payroll allocation, here's the cost. And those toggles on the parameters tab are basically indicating which ones you're going to bring over. And the only reason I usually don't bring over the payroll allocation, because when you look at the journal, it shows like that it washes from a expense standpoint. So that's why I don't bring that over. All right, and then you can view the budget details, and that just brings you into the actual budgeting form, and you can take a look at all the different details. If you want to view the approved allocations, etc., you can take a look at what you want to. All right, I am going to process my carry forward routine here. It says the selected budget amounts will be carried forward into the next fiscal year. You cannot undo this process. Do you want to continue? And the answer is yes, I will go ahead and do this. So I get my dimension warning telling me that I don't have a dimension available, which is fine, and it basically told me that the carry forward process has been completed. So if I go and take a look at my project here, I'll X out of this form, and now I'm on my project, and I go to the Control tab and the Project Budget Balance button. Let's run this thing from a custom range of 1117, 1231.17, and see what our budgets are. First of all, I can see that I have an original and approved budget of $72,000, but the remaining budget's $105,000. And why is that? Because we carried forward that $33,000 cost budget into 2017. So ultimately, that's what your routine is doing, is showing you that whatever you had remaining in the previous fiscal year, which was 2016 in this case, is now carried forward and being calculated into the remaining budget for 2017. Now, the other part that we added to the mix was that we created a budget register entry. So if I go to the budgeting module and look at the budget register entries, there should be an entry in here that shows that it's project oriented. Here it is, and it's the $33,000 one. I must not have brought over my revenue budget, which is fine. But if I take a look at this, there's the one expense account that it's telling me that's hitting, and I only budgeted for one category, which was development work in this case. So basically it's just showing there's that $33,000 expense for, I'm assuming this is the account associated with development, IT, consulting practice. What is the cost of project labor account? Okay. And then basically it got booked into the 2017 year, and then we could update the balances, and now this would actually be pushed into the 2017 budget. So that's just a look at carry forward budget routine. Just note that it helps out with that project balance, budget balance report, where you can carry forward the remaining amounts from the previous year into that report, and then you can actually transfer budget amounts to the 2017 budget through budget register entries.